The great hall stretched out like a crystal cathedral, its walls made of something that looked like glass but sang with inner light. 500 cadets stood in perfect rows, their bodies showing every shape and size that life in the galaxy could take. Some had 4 arms, others floated without legs, a few glowed with their own light. They all waited for the same thing. Stood near the back, his plain human form almost invisible among the exotic aliens around him. He wore the same gray uniform as everyone else, but on him it looked simpler somehow. His black hair was cut short. His hands were steady at his sides, but his heart hammered in his chest. 22 years old, from Earth, from Sol. Just a regular guy who somehow passed the entrance tests. The scanner dominated the center of the hall. It rose 3 stories high, a pillar of dark metal covered in symbols that hurt to look at. No one knew who built it. The precursors, they said. A race so old that even their ruins were ancient when the current civilizations were born. The scanner had stood in this hall for 40 million years, and it had never been wrong. Cadet of Prime, a voice boomed through the hall. It came from everywhere and nowhere. A tall being made of living crystal stepped forward. Her body reflected light in rainbow patterns. She placed her hand on the scanner's surface. The machine hummed. Lights danced across its surface. Then words appeared, glowing in the air above her head. Herald of the... The hall erupted in whispers. That was a high rank, very high, bowed and stepped back, her crystal face showing pride. One by one, the cadets approached. The scanner gave each a title based on what it saw in their souls, their potential, their cosmic weight in the universe. Child of the Void. Walker between shadows. Keeper of the small flame. Bearer of storm and silence. Most titles were simple, some were grand. Each cadet accepted their rank and moved on, watched and waited. He wondered what the scanner would see in him, probably something basic. Humans were new to the galactic stage. They had no special powers. They died after barely a century. They couldn't breathe fire or bend metal with their minds or survive in vacuum. The line moved forward. Palms started to sweat. Cadet of Earth, the voice called. Looked up, walked forward, her steps confident. She was the only other human in his year. They had talked a few times. She was braver than him, smarter too, probably. She touched the scanner. Daughter of the quick burning. Smiled and walked back. She caught his eye and gave him a small nod. Quick burning. That fit humans, he thought. They lived fast and died young compared to most species here. More cadets went. The titles kept coming, then heard his name. Cadet of Earth. His legs moved automatically. The crowd of cadets parted. Their eyes followed him, some curious, some dismissive. What could a human amount to? He reached the scanner and lifted his hand. The metal was cold under his palm, smooth, old beyond understanding. The scanner hummed to life just like it had for everyone else. Lights began to scroll across its surface. Symbols appeared and vanished. Normal. Everything was normal. Then it stopped. The humming changed. It grew louder. The lights on the scanner began to pulse faster, brighter. Symbols cascaded down its surface like a waterfall, each one appearing and being rejected in an instant. The machine was searching for something. Tried to pull his hand back. It wouldn't move. The scanner held him there. The hall went silent. The lights grew so bright that cadets had to shield their eyes. The symbols moved faster and faster until they blurred together. Then the scanner made a sound it had never made before. A scream. Not mechanical, something older, something that spoke in a language from before language existed. Every light in the hall flickered. Some went out completely. Then finally words appeared above his head. They didn't glow like the others. They burned. Golden white fire that wrote itself in the air. Bearer of the flame beyond GODS. The silence that followed was absolute. Stood frozen, his hand still on the scanner. He didn't understand. Bearer of what? Flame. He had no fire, he was just him. Then the hall erupted into chaos. Headmaster appeared from thin air, his 6 crystalline arms spreading wide. His body, usually a calm blue, had gone pale white. He had lived for 40,000 years. He had seen empires rise and fall. Nothing shocked him anymore. Until now. Lock down the hall, his voice cut through the noise like a blade. No one leaves. Security teams to me, now. Armed guards materialized around. They didn't point weapons at him, but they surrounded him completely. Their faces showed confusion and fear. "I don't understand," said. His voice came out small. "Is something wrong?" Approached slowly, his ancient eyes studying like he was looking at a bomb that might explode. "Cadet, you need to come with us. Immediately." "But why? What does it mean?" "It means," said, his voice dropping low, "that something that should be impossible has happened. That title has appeared exactly once before in all of recorded history, 800 million years ago, and when it vanished, it took an entire war with it." Push through the crowd of cadets. "Wait, you can't just take him. He hasn't done anything wrong." A guard moved to stop her but raised a hand. "Stand down, she's right. Cadet has committed no crime." He looked at again. "But the conquered must know about this. High command must be informed. This is beyond my authority." "I'm just a human," said. He felt numb. This had to be a mistake. The scanner must be broken. "The scanner," said quietly, "has never malfunctioned in 40 million years. Not once." He gestured to the guards. "Take him to the secure wing. Treat him with respect, but he is not to leave until the council convenes." As they led away, he looked back at the crowd of cadets. Every face showed the same thing: fear. They weren't afraid of him. They were afraid of what the scanner had seen in him. Something he didn't even know he had. The great hall's lights slowly came back on. The scanner stood silent once more, its surface dark and still. But above where it stood, a faint afterimage remained in the air. Golden fire slowly fading. Bearer of the flame beyond gods. Whatever that meant, life had just changed forever. The secure facility sat deep beneath the academy, carved into the asteroid's core, sat in a white room with no windows. The chair was comfortable, at least. They had given him water. The guards outside were polite, but he was still a prisoner. He had been here for 6 hours. The door opened with a soft hiss. A woman walked in, human, wearing formal diplomatic robes. Her hair was pulled back tight. Her face was stern but not unkind. She said, "My name is, I'm Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Conquered." He stood up quickly. "Ambassador, do you know what's happening? They won't tell me anything." Gestured for him to sit. She took the chair across from him. "I'm about to find out. The council is meeting now. I demanded to be here with you." She leaned forward. "Listen to me carefully. Whatever they ask, tell the truth. All of it. Don't hide anything. This is bigger than both of us." "I don't even know what this is." "You will soon." The wall behind flickered and vanished. Instead of white metal, now saw a vast chamber. 12 beings sat in a semicircle, each one massive on their viewing screens. They represented the 12 founding species of the conquered. Each one had lived for thousands of years. Each one ruled billions. The one in the center spoke first. Its body looked like flowing water held in the shape of a person. "I am High Counselor, Cadet of Earth. Do you know why you are here?" "The scanner gave me a strange title," said. His mouth was dry. "But I don't know what it means." "Of course you don't," another counselor said. "This one had scales and too many teeth. Your species is barely 2 centuries into space travel. You know nothing of the deep history." His voice was ice. "Counselor, if you have information relevant to this situation, share it. Don't insult us." Growled but said nothing. Continued, "We will share what we know, but first we must ask you questions. Have you experienced any unusual abilities, any memories that are not your own, any moments where time seemed to stop or reality felt different?" Shook his head. "No, nothing like that. I'm completely normal." "Have you encountered any ancient artifacts, Visited any precursor sites? Been exposed to any form of cosmic radiation? No, I grew up in Seoul, normal schools, normal life. I took the academy tests because my teacher said I should try. I barely passed. A third counselor spoke, this one made of crystal like headmaster but larger, older. We scanned you while you waited. Medical, genetic, spiritual, quantum, every test we have. You are, as you say, completely normal for a human. No abnormalities, no hidden powers, nothing. Then the scanner made a mistake, said. The room fell silent. The scanner, said slowly, does not make mistakes. In 40 million years of operation, it has never once failed. Not when civilizations fell, not when stars died, not even when reality itself was damaged during the Cascade Wars. The water being leaned forward. It cannot be wrong. Then what does my title mean? Was quiet for a moment. Then it gestured, and the air in the center of the chamber filled with images, ancient writing, pictures, videos from civilizations long dead. 800 million years ago, began, the galaxy was very different. The precursors still existed, though they were already ancient then. And there was a war. Not a war between species or empires, a war between realities. The images showed things couldn't understand. Beings made of pure darkness, spaces where stars should be but weren't, entire sections of the galaxy just missing. They were called the Devourers, continued. Creatures from outside our reality. They didn't conquer, they didn't destroy, they consumed. They ate existence itself. Entire dimensions vanished into them. The precursors fought, but even they were losing. Then one appeared, said the crystal counselor. Its voice was soft, almost reverent. The records simply call it the Bearer. The scanner gave it the same title you received, Bearer of the Flame Beyond Gods. The images changed. They showed a being of light. It had no clear shape, just pure radiant energy, and wherever it went, the Devourers retreated. The Bearer fought them, said. For 10,000 years it held the line. Then when the war was finally ending, it did something impossible. It sealed the Devourers away, trapped them outside reality. But to do so, it sacrificed itself, whispered. She stared at the images, her face pale. Yes, the Bearer burned its own existence to fuel the seal. It died, completely. And for 800 million years the seal has held. The Devourers have been locked away. Its watery form rippled. Until now. Felt cold. What do you mean, until now? The precursors left warnings, said. We thought they were myths, stories, but they all said the same thing. When the flame returns, the seal weakens. The Devourers will know. They will try to break free. But I'm not the flame, said. His voice cracked. I'm just a person. I can't even lift heavy weights. I get tired running upstairs. I'm not a cosmic warrior. We know, said gently. That's what makes this so troubling. The scanner sees something in you that we cannot. Something that makes you the bearer of the flame beyond gods, but you show no signs of power, no abilities, nothing. A fourth counselor spoke, this one ancient and withered. Perhaps the power is dormant, perhaps it will awaken in time. Or perhaps, said coldly, the scanner is reacting to something else. Maybe it's not about power, maybe it's about potential, or choice, or something we don't understand yet. Regardless, said, we must decide what to do. The conquered is already detecting anomalies, tears in space, whispers from the void. If the Devourers are awakening because of you, we need to know. So what, asked, what happens to me? The counselors looked at each other, the silence stretched. Finally spoke. You will remain under observation. You will continue your training at the academy. We will assign you a security detail, and we will monitor you constantly for any changes. Essentially house arrest, said flatly. For the safety of the galaxy, growled. One human life versus trillions. He hasn't done anything wrong, shot back. Neither did the last bearer, the crystal counselor said quietly, until it had to sacrifice everything to save us all. sat there feeling the weight of their eyes on him. 800 million years of history, a war between realities, a power he didn't have and couldn't understand, and now somehow it all rested on him. "I want to help," he said finally. "If there's really something coming, if I'm really connected to it, then I want to help. Just tell me what to do." His watery form rippled again, almost like a nod. "For now, live, learn, train. We will be watching. And if the flame truly exists within you, perhaps one day you will understand what the scanner saw." The connection ended. The wall became white metal again, stood and placed a hand on shoulder. "Come on," she said. "I'll take you back to your quarters, and tomorrow you'll return to classes." Just like that. Just like that, but she looked at him seriously. "Be careful. Not everyone on the council wants to wait and see. Some of them are afraid, and fear makes people dangerous." As they left the white room, couldn't shake the feeling that his life had just become something he never asked for, something he didn't understand. Somewhere in the darkness between stars, something stirred, something ancient and hungry. And it knew his name. 3 weeks passed, attended classes like nothing had happened, but everything had changed. Other cadets whispered when he walked by. Some avoided him completely. Others stared like he was a dangerous animal in a cage. Only still talked to him normally. "Ignore them," she said over lunch. The cafeteria was half empty around their table. No one wanted to sit close. "They're scared because they don't understand." "I don't understand either," said. He pushed his food around his plate. "Every night I go to sleep thinking maybe I'll wake up different. Maybe the power will appear, but nothing happens. I'm still just me. Maybe that's okay. The council doesn't think so. Neither does my shadow." Glanced at the corner where a tall human man stood, watching. Former Special Forces, now's permanent bodyguard. He was good at his job, quiet, alert, never more than 20 meters away. "At least he seems nice," said. "He is, doesn't make it less weird." Check the time. "Combat simulation in 10 minutes, you ready?" "As ready as I'll ever be." They walked to the simulation center together, following like a silent ghost. The center was a massive dome that could create any environment, any situation. Today's exercise was zero-gravity combat in a damaged space station. Instructor waited at the entrance, the crystal being who held the title Herald of the Eternal, one of the most powerful fighters in the known galaxy. Even she looked at differently now, with curiosity, maybe respect, maybe fear. "Cadets," she said, her voice like chimes. "Today you work in teams of 5, rescue simulation, hostile environment, weapons set to training mode. You have 40 minutes. She gestured to the dome. "Begin." His team included 2 aliens he barely knew and a human engineer named. The man was short, stocky, and always had grease on his hands. "Just stay behind me," one of the aliens said too. It had 4 arms and armor like skin. "I'll handle the fighting." Said nothing, he was used to it by now. They entered the dome. The world shifted around them. Suddenly they floated in a corridor filled with twisted metal and flickering lights. Emergency alarms wailed. The mission appeared on their helmet displays. Rescue survivors from the station's core before it exploded. "Move out," the 4-armed alien said, taking point. They pushed through the corridor, using handholds to pull themselves forward. Zero gravity made everything harder. Stomach churned, but he kept moving. The first enemies appeared. Holographic pirates with laser weapons. Training scenarios all fake. The team dealt with them easily. Then something changed. The lights went completely dark for a moment. When they came back on, they were wrong. They flickered in colors that shouldn't exist. The walls looked different, older, wrong. Said, checking his tablet. "That's not supposed to happen. The simulation parameters just went crazy." "Contact instructor," said. "Tell her we need to abort." Tried, his tablet sparked and died. "No signal, something's jamming us." Then they appeared. They weren't holograms. Knew that immediately. These things were real. They looked like shadows with too many limbs with faces that hurt to look at. They moved wrong, like they existed in more dimensions than they should. "What are those?" the four-armed cadet shouted. The creatures saw them, all of their attention focused on. They made sounds like screaming metal and rushed forward. "Run!" grabbed Sarm and pulled him backward. The team scattered. The creatures ignored everyone else. They wanted. He pushed off a wall, flying through zero gravity, trying to get away. But the things were fast. One reached for him with limbs that phased through metal like it wasn't there. "Get away from him!" The four-armed cadet opened fire. The training weapon did nothing. Real weapons wouldn't have helped either. The creatures weren't solid. Hit a corner hard. His shoulder screamed in pain. He turned to see one of the things right in front of him. Its face, if it had one, opened into a mouth full of nothing. It lunged. Time seemed to slow. Felt something in his chest. Not pain, heat. Like standing next to a fire on a cold day. It spread through his body, warm and alive. His hand moved on its own, reaching out. Golden white fire erupted from his palm. The creature didn't just die. It didn't burn or explode. It simply stopped existing. The fire touched it and it was gone, completely, like it had never been there at all. Stared at his hand. Flames danced across his fingers, but they didn't hurt. They felt right, natural, like they had always been there just waiting. Another creature came at him. He raised his hand again. Fire poured out and the thing vanished. "JINWOO's voice cut through his shock. "There's more of them." He looked around. The creatures filled the corridor now. Dozens of them, all focused on him, all hungry. "Everyone get behind me," said. His voice sounded different, stronger. "Are you crazy?" shouted. "Just do it." They pulled themselves behind him, spread his arms wide. The heat in his chest grew stronger, hotter. The flames around his hands brightened. Then he released it. Fire exploded outward in a wave. Golden white light filled the corridor. The creatures screamed and vanished. One by one they were unmade, erased from reality by the flame. When the light faded, the corridor was empty, quiet. The wrong colors were gone. The simulation looked normal again. Floated there, breathing hard. The fire around his hands slowly died down. The warmth in his chest settled back to a quiet ember. "What," said slowly, "was that?" The simulation ended abruptly. The damaged station vanished. They stood in the normal dome again, gravity returning. Instructor ran in right behind her. "Is everyone all right?" asked. Her crystal body was bright with alarm. "We're fine," said, "but those things, they weren't part of the simulation." "I know," looked at. "They were null-born creatures that exist between dimensions. They shouldn't be able to enter our reality." She stepped closer to him. "But they found you anyway." Checked over quickly. "You hurt?" "No, I'm okay." Looked at his hands. They looked normal now. No fire, no light. "I didn't know I could do that." "The flame," said quietly, "it's awakening in you just like the council feared." She looked around at the other cadets. "No one speaks of this outside this room. Understood? This is classified." They all nodded, too shocked to argue. Headmaster appeared at the entrance, moving faster than had ever seen. His 6 arms were spread in alarm. "Instructor, report." "Null-born attack. Inside the simulation. They targeted Cadet specifically." His crystal body went pale again. "That's impossible. The Academy's defenses should prevent any dimensional breach." "Should," said, "but they're getting stronger. The seal is weakening." "Then we have less time than we thought," looked at with something like sadness. "The Council needs to know, immediately." As left to make the call, felt the weight of it all crash down on him. The power was real. The danger was real. And somehow, something out there in the darkness knew exactly where he was. Said softly. She stood beside him, not afraid. "Whatever happens, we'll figure it out, okay?" He wanted to believe her. But as he looked at his hands, remembering the feeling of erasing those creatures from existence. He wondered if this was something anyone could figure out. The flame beyond gods had awakened, and the devourers were coming. Ambassador woke at midnight. She didn't knock. She came through the door fast, right behind her. "Get up," she said. "We're leaving now." Sat up confused. "What, why?" "Because the council just voted to kill you." Threw a bag at him. "You have 2 minutes. Pack only what you need." His blood went cold. "What?" Was already at the window, checking outside. High Arbiter convinced them. Says you're too dangerous. That the devourers are coming because of you, so removing you removes the problem. "That's insane," said. But he was already moving, grabbing clothes and stuffing them in the bag. "A Black Ops team is already on the way," said. "We have maybe 5 minutes before they arrive." "Where do we go?" "Somewhere they won't follow." Pulled out a small device. "I stole coordinates from a classified Concord database, a precursor site in the Shroud Expanse. If there are answers about what you are, they'll be there." They ran through the corridors. Alarms hadn't started yet, but they would soon. They reached the hangar bay where a small stealth ship waited, and were already there. "You came," said, surprised. "Of course we came," said. "You think we'd let you do this alone?" Was at the ship's controls, running pre-flight checks. "Besides, someone needs to keep this thing running. Might as well be me." They boarded quickly, sealed the door as the ship's engines hummed to life. 30 seconds later, they lifted off. 60 seconds after that, the alarms finally started screaming. "They know," said from the pilot's seat. "Hold on." The ship shot through the hangar shield and into space. Behind them, the Academy's defense systems came online. Warning shots lanced through the darkness. "They're really shooting at us," said, her voice tight. "They're shooting to disable," said. He was calm, checking weapons. "But if we can't jump soon, that won't matter." "Jump drive charging," called out. 30 seconds. The ship rocked as a shot grazed their shields, pushed the engines harder. Stars blurred past. 20 seconds. Another hit, stronger. The lights flickered. "Come on," muttered. 10 seconds. 5. Jump, hit the button. Reality twisted. The stars vanished. They entered the strange space between spaces where physics worked differently. For a moment, felt like he was everywhere and nowhere at once. Then it passed. They were safe for now. The journey to the Shroud Expanse took 3 days. The Shroud was a region of space that most species avoided. Ships vanished there. Sensors went crazy. Some said reality itself was thinner in that place, worn down by some ancient catastrophe. On the second day, things started going wrong. "Navigation is drifting," said, frowning at his screens. "Like something's pulling us off course." "Life support is acting up too," added. "Temperature keeps dropping." Sat in the back practicing with the flame. He could call it now, make it appear in his hands, but controlling it was hard. Sometimes it came out too strong, sometimes too weak, and every time he used it he felt memories, things he had never experienced, battles in the void, screams of dying stars. "We're close," said on the 3rd day. "Coordinates say it's right there." Through the window they saw it, a structure floating in the void. It was bigger than anything had ever seen. Bigger than a planet, bigger than a star, a monument of dark metal and glowing symbols that stretched across the emptiness. "What is that?" whispered. "A precursor vault," said quietly. "A storage facility for knowledge. This is what the coordinates pointed to." They docked at a small entrance. The structure accepted them, opening doors that hadn't moved in millions of years. Inside, the air was breathable. Lights turned on as they walked, responding to their presence. "Someone's been maintaining this," said. His weapon was drawn, or something. They walked through corridors that should have been impossible, spaces that were bigger on the inside than outside, rooms that existed in multiple places at once. Finally, they reached a central chamber. A hologram activated. It showed a being made of pure light. It spoke in a language shouldn't have understood, but did. Old Korean, ancient Korean, the words of his ancestors from thousands of years ago. "Welcome, bearer of the flame," it said. "We have waited for you." "What are you?" asked. "I am a memory, a recording left by the precursors. We knew you would come. Your species was designed for this moment." Designed stepped forward. "What do you mean?" The hologram changed. It showed Earth, not modern Earth, ancient Earth, millions of years ago. "We created humanity," the memory said. "We seeded your world with the potential for the flame, not one bearer but an entire species that could share the burden. Because one being, no matter how powerful, will eventually fall. But millions, billions working together, that is something the devourers cannot consume." Felt like the floor had disappeared. "We're artificial." "No, you are natural. We simply guided evolution, planted seeds, ensured the potential was there. Every human carries a spark of the flame. Most will never know it. But in moments of great need, when faced with darkness and annihilation, your species can choose to burn bright." "Choose?" asked. "The flame is not power. It is will. The stubborn refusal to accept the end. The devourers represent entropy, the heat death of the universe, the final silence. The flame is the opposite. It is the choice to matter, to fight, to live, even when logic says you should give up." "So what do I do?" asked. "You awaken the flame in others. You become the lighthouse that shows humanity what it can be. But know this, the devourers are breaking free. They know you exist. They are coming." The hologram flickered. "And so are your enemies." Alarms blared, checked his tablet. "Ships incoming, lots of them. The conquered found us." "Not just the conquered," said, looking at the sensors. "Those readings, those are null-born ships, hundreds of them." "And something else," said, her voice barely a whisper. "Something big." Through the chamber's window they saw it, a tear in reality itself. Something was pushing through, something massive, something that made the vault seem small. "A devourer," the hologram said. "The first scout, it has found you." "We need to leave," said, "right now." They ran back through the corridors. The vault shook around them. The devourer was trying to enter and reality itself was screaming. They reached the ship, started the engines. But the nullborn were already there, dozens of them blocking their path. "I'll hold them," said. He grabbed extra weapons, his face calm. "No," said, "we fight together." "Kid, you need to live. You need to get back to Earth, awaken the flame in humanity. That's what matters," smiled. "I've had a good run, let me make it count." "G.O." The soldier ran out, firing at the nullborn, drawing them away from the ship. His shots weren't killing them, but they were buying time. "We have to leave," said, tears in her eyes. "He's right, we have to go." The ship lifted off. Through the window, watched fight. The man moved like a dancer, precise and deadly. The nullborn fell around him, but more kept coming. Then looked up at the ship. He gave a small salute. And the nullborn swarmed over him. "No!" screamed. The ship jumped to hyperspace. When they emerged, they were far from the vault, safe but incomplete. Sat in silence, staring at his hands. The flame flickered there, weak and small. His last words echoed in his mind. Make it count. He had to. For Earth, for everyone. They made it back to Earth. Barely. The ship was falling apart, held together by skill and luck. They landed in Seoul, right in the middle of the city center where everyone could see. News cameras were there within minutes. The whole world watched as stepped out of the stolen ship, followed by, and... "What do we do now?" asked. "We tell everyone the truth," said. Set up an emergency broadcast. Every screen on Earth, every device, every communication channel. Stood before the camera, his heart pounding. "My name is," he began. "I'm a cadet at the Galactic Academy, or I was. 3 days ago I learned something impossible. Humanity was created to be something special. We're not weak. We're not insignificant. We are the bearers of the flame. He raised his hand. Golden white fire appeared in his palm. Gasps echoed around the world. This flame exists in all of us. Every human. It's not about power, it's about choice. The choice to stand when darkness comes. The choice to matter. And right now the darkness is coming. He told them everything. The devourers, the ancient war, the seal that was breaking, the fact that something older than stars was coming to consume their reality. I can't fight this alone, he said. No one person can, but together, all of us. We can be the flame that pushes back the dark. I'm asking you to choose to stand, choose to burn bright. The broadcast ended. For a moment, nothing happened. Then across the world, people began to feel it. That warmth in their chests, that small ember of light. Some people cried, some laughed, some just stared at their hands in wonder as tiny flames appeared on their fingertips. Not everyone felt it. Some people couldn't or wouldn't, but millions did, and that was enough. In space above Earth, reality tore open. The devourer pushed through, finally entering their dimension. It was bigger than anything imaginable, a thing of absolute darkness that swallowed light itself. Stars winked out as it moved. Space died around it. The conquered fleet appeared too. Hundreds of warships led by High Arbiter. They had come to destroy Earth, to end the threat before it spread. But then they saw the devourer. All ships, voice crackled over the radio. Forget the humans, target that thing, fire everything. The fleet opened fire. Weapons that could destroy planets hit the devourer. They did nothing. The darkness just swallowed the attacks. On Earth felt the flame growing stronger. Not just his own. He felt every human who had chosen to stand. Billions of small fires all connected, all feeding into one purpose. I need to go up there, he said. Hal asked, we don't have a ship. Instructor landed beside them. Her crystal body gleamed with purpose. Yes, you do. I'm with you, bearer. So am I, came another voice. Headmaster appeared, his 6 arms carrying weapons. The council was wrong. If you stand against the darkness, then so do I. More ships arrived. More beings who had chosen to fight. Not just humans. Aliens from across the galaxy who saw the devourer and refused to run. They flew into space together, stood at the window watching the devourer approach. It was so massive, so absolute. How could anyone fight that? Together, said beside him, she held his hand. Her own small flame flickered to life. You said it yourself, together. Closed his eyes. He reached out with his mind, connecting to every human who had chosen the flame. He felt them all. People in Seoul and New York and Lagos and Mumbai. People on space stations and colony worlds, every one of them burning bright. And he pulled, drew all that light into himself, not taking it, borrowing it, becoming the focus, the lens that concentrated their collective will. His body began to glow. Golden white fire surrounded him, brighter than the sun. Go, said softly, we'll protect you. Stepped out into space. He should have died instantly. But the flame protected him. He floated there, a single point of light before an ocean of darkness. The devourer saw him. It reached with tendrils that could crack worlds, but raised his hand. No, he said. The flame exploded outward, not as a weapon, as a statement, as the collective will of billions saying, we are here, we matter, we exist, and you cannot erase us. The devourer's tendril met the flame and stopped. For the first time in its eternal existence, it encountered something it couldn't consume. The flame wasn't just energy. It was meaning, purpose, the refusal to be forgotten. The battle wasn't physical. It was philosophical, a war between entropy and persistence, between the end and the stubborn human insistence that there could always be another beginning. Pushed harder. Behind him, he felt humanity pushing too. Every person who chose to stand added their light to his. The flame grew brighter, hotter, not destroying the devourer but forcing it to see them, to acknowledge them. "You cannot end us," said. "We choose to continue, we choose to burn." The devourer pulled back, not in defeat but in recognition. It had come expecting food, emptiness, the silence of acceptance. Instead, it found noise, life, defiance. And slowly, impossibly, it began to retreat. The tier in reality started to close. The devourer returned to its prison, and the seal reformed. Stronger this time, reinforced not by one sacrifice but by billions choosing to matter. The darkness faded, the stars returned. Floated there exhausted. The flame around him dimmed but didn't die. It settled into his body, into his bones, into his DNA, and through him into every human connected to him. Pulled him back into the ship. He collapsed, breathing hard, but he was smiling. "We did it," he whispered. On every conquered ship, scanners were going crazy. They showed the same reading for every human, not just every single one. Bearer of the flame beyond gods. Not one bearer, an entire species. High Arbiter stared at the readings in shock. Then slowly he bowed. Across the fleet, other ships followed suit. Humanity had proven itself. Months later, the Academy reopened. The scanner stood in its hall, ready for a new ceremony. But this time, when humans stepped forward, it gave the same title to all of them. Stood with and watching the new cadets. The flame flickered gently in all of them, not overwhelming, not consuming, just there, a reminder of what they could be when they chose to stand together. At the edge of the hall, a memorial stone stood, carved into it, who stood so others could run, who burned bright so the light could continue. Placed a small flame there. It would burn forever, fueled by memory and gratitude. "What now?" asked. Looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there the devourers waited. Somewhere out there new threats would emerge, but humanity wasn't alone anymore, and they weren't weak. "Now we live," he said. "We burn bright, and when the darkness comes again, we'll be ready." Earth became the new center of the Academy, the place where all species sent their young to learn what the scanner had discovered. That strength isn't about power or abilities. It's about the choice to stand, the choice to matter, the choice to burn bright in defiance of the dark. And humanity, the shortest-lived, most fragile species in the galaxy, became the keepers of that lesson. The flame beyond gods. Not one hero, but billions choosing together to light the way.